You are listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from Carrollton, Georgia, now an Odyssey station.
We're back, baby. It's Season 6 of Sports Out of Pocket, where the takes are cold and there is zero chill.
That's right. We're back with controversy. We're calling out the fakes, the frauds, and the failures.
Cash or Trash is back too. Your takes, your trades, we judge it all.
And we're bringing you stats, smack talk, and sleepers in our segment, Fantasy Football.
And then we take you down to the 2-minute warning, where we try to plead our case on horrible sports takes.
And we're melting the ice with the return of Fire Me Up.
And you already know we bring you the coldest interviews in sports radio.
This is the Philly Sports Guy.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
What up, guys? It's Tyrell Adams, former UWG linebacker.
One vet, 3 rookies. Sports Out of Pocket Season 6.
Zero chill.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 6, Episode 11 of Sports Out of Pocket. I'm your host today, Jackson Voles, and around the table, I have the most amazing cast I can do this show with. Across from me, the Buffalo Bills fan, as always, JT Groves. JT, how's your day going, man?
I'm doing fantastic. The Bills won the biggest game of the year against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're on fire. Let's go.
But still the second best team in the AFC East. But we'll get onto that a little bit later in the show. And to the right of me, the guy who glazes Kyle Pitts and LeBron James, his 2 favorite athletes.
Guilty as charged.
In all of sports, Grady Hamilton. Grady, how's your day going, man?
It's going good. Georgia beat Florida completely cleanly. That was not a catch.
That's gonna be.
Florida fans can fight me about it. Open invitation to the studio at West Georgia.
I know somebody else who has a lot to say about that Florida and Georgia game a little bit later on the show, being a big Georgia fan, having season tickets, which he still hasn't invited me out to, by the way.
Hey, wait
Maybe he will in the future. Michael Miller. Michael, how's your day going, man?
Well, first of all, Jackson, it's the Georgia-Florida game, not the Florida-Georgia game. Just wanted to make sure we're clear on that to begin with. So, yeah, my weekend was good. Georgia beating Florida, like we always do, 5 years in a row now. The Falcons, again, tragic, but Drake May did win, so it was still positive for me either way.
I mean, there was a lot of, mixed reactions and controversial calls relating to, some of your favorite teams. And with that, let's get into the show.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies. And speaking of one of your favorite teams, Michael Drake Miller, the Atlanta Braves have hired a brand new manager, Walt Weiss, who's been part of the organization for the past 8 years as a bench coach after his departure from managing the Colorado Rockies from 2013 to 2016. A lot of people had mixed reactions about it. A lot of people weren't big fans of Walt Weiss being in that manager position, with names being thrown out like Mark DeRosa, David Ross, Danny Lemon, who was the Dodgers bench coach this past season with them winning the World Series. Michael, I want to start with you. You're a big Atlanta Braves fan. What are your thoughts on the Walt Weiss hire?
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I thought we kind of needed to go a different direction outside the organization, just to get some new, fresh faces in here. But now with the new additions we made today, firing Rick Kranitz and getting getting a new pitching coach, getting a new first base coach, I actually kind of like this move now. Walt Weiss has been here for 8 years. He knows what he's doing with the Braves. It's kind of the Braves' way. The Braves like to promote within. Obviously, the concern is going to be he went 283 and 365 with the Rockies when he was the manager.
But this is a completely different roster building.
Exactly. I was just about to say the Rockies have been around for around since 1995 was their first year. They've had 7 winning seasons since then in their entire franchise history. So I don't think you can blame Walt Weiss really for that too much. And I'm sure he learned stuff from that first time. So it's good for the players in the locker room because you know Walt Weiss. It's not like a new guy you have to earn respect for. They respect him, and then you're adding new faces in to add some newness. So I'm excited about it.
It's good to get a guy who has had managerial experience at the pro ball level, especially at the major league level, with the Colorado Rockies, and also previously played for the Atlanta Braves back in the 90s with the great Braves days over there. Now, Grady, JT, I know you guys aren't big baseball fans, but I mean, you're from the Atlanta area, Grady. You probably have a lot of friends who are Braves fans. What are your thoughts on hiring within?
I mean, I just don't know what to say. I feel like the Braves just struggled a lot this year, and they needed a change, regardless of what was going to happen. I don't know if hiring in is necessarily the solution. I kind of agree with some of the stuff Michael said. It could be good to get an outside face coming in, but I'm just looking forward to see what we do next year. That's going to be the real test. Like, I'll believe it when I see it.
JT, I know you're a big Yankees fan, so you probably don't, have much to speak upon.
I couldn't care less about this
You couldn't
hire.
care less about this. No, I completely agree. I couldn't care less. I was more focused on, the Cardinals maybe hiring a new manager. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Didn't fire his.
Fake Cardinals fan, by the way.
Fake Cardinals fan is absolutely insane.
Fake everything
But
fan.
JT Groves, I want to shift more to the football aspect because you have a big controversy that happened in college football.
In college football
Or NFL?
Yeah,
NFL.
NFL. So I got one, and we all saw what happened to Jaden Daniels, a gruesome injury. But we are now seeing, now more than ever, comparisons to RG3. And, I mean, yes, 2 Washington quarterbacks, both really strong rookie seasons, and then they go out and they get hurt. And, yes, RG3's was basically career-ending injury. But I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be career-ending. He might be back next year. He's definitely out for the season. That thing looked horrible. But, do we think this is a good comparison now more than ever, or what?
It's not a good comparison now because right now his injury, we've seen people come back from worse. When it comes to Jaden Daniels, the first thing I want to say about this injury is Jaden Daniels had leg and hamstring injuries throughout the entire season, yet they kept him in when they saw him struggling out there on the field versus Seattle this past weekend. And, with Jaden Daniels, that whole situation there, I don't think it's a career-ending injury. He dislocated his elbow, and most people have seen the gruesome video. Don't go look it up if you are, a little, you get jitters and stuff, when you see injuries and stuff like that. But, no, I don't think it's a good comparison right now. Jaden Daniels will be back and healthy probably around early to mid-season next season. So I don't think it's a good comparison now.
I mean, do we think that he should have been out of the game by this point? I mean, they were down by 30 points in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left. Jaden Daniels should have been far out of this game. And Dan Quinn was saying, this would have been their last drive. He was going to take out all the starters after that drive. Debo was coming out. Jaden Daniels was coming out. Some of those guys, like Zach Ertz, those guys would have been off the field the next drive. But I guess Dan Quinn just didn't do it on time, and that's the result.
I mean, I feel like I understand kind of why he was still in the game. You can't, as a coach, you can't just be like, oh, we're down, so-and-so points, I give up, folding. I agree. If he really would have taken them out the next drive, I think that would have been reasonable. But with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, a lot of football can happen in 10 minutes. So I feel like it's not crazy. It really sucks what happened, but I feel like people are throwing too many stones at him online.
I think he's going to be okay though. It also happened on his left arm. It wasn't his right arm. So if it were his throwing arm, that'd be much more concerning to me. With him trying to heal that and come back and be himself, that would definitely be a big thing to look at. But obviously, it's still really bad. He's going to be out for a while. But I think because it was his left arm, I don't expect it to be too much of a big deal for him, honestly.
Just for the record, by the way, a guy like me would have played through that injury.
Oh, I 100%
You know who else would have?
believe
Kyle
it.
Pitts.
I would have put a wrap on my left arm and went out there and started throwing my right, just right arm.
You know what Kyle Pitts would have done in that situation? He would have got up, went to the sideline, sat out a play, just did a little pop. Yep,
Dude,
popped it right back in place, and he's right back
You're
out there
thinking
catching
about
a
this
touchdown.
wrong. Kyle Pitts is not getting tackled in the first place. If that dude tried to tackle him, Kyle Pitts would stiff arm him to the ground and just run into the end zone. So Kyle Pitts wouldn't even be put in that
So if
situation.
Kyle Pitts was trying to stiff arm somebody and his arm did whatever happened to Jaden Daniels, you don't think he'd come out for a play and just pop it right back in place?
His arm has
or,
more fortitude than that. It just
or
couldn't happen.
would he just start dropping, do 100 push-ups?
Maybe Florida, Kyle Pitts. But speaking upon Florida and collegiate football, Grady Hamilton, you have a big controversy that happened with the Georgia-Florida game, not Florida-Georgia game. My bad, Michael Miller. What's your controversy for this week?
I mean, the controversy is that people online are getting mad about Georgia because they're the best team in college football, and they keep finding ways to win. And it's just, we all saw that catch, right? Or not the catch.
It was
We saw
incomplete.
The incomplete catch.
Incomplete pass, I guess is the best way to describe it. And people online were talking about it like it was the most ridiculous call they've ever seen in their entire life. And I just don't really understand that because it was pretty obviously an incomplete pass to anybody that actually saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and I watched the replay and everything multiple times, and I was like, I'm pretty sure my eyes aren't messing with me. That ball very clearly hits the ground. People were like, oh yeah, his arms were underneath it. No, they were not. There was enough room for that ball to get through, and it hit the ground for sure. He did not have possession of it. Very clear, incomplete pass. Not saying this just because I root for the Dogs, but because it was just not a catch.
And
That's how it should work.
I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm really sick and tired of seeing people hating on the Dogs online, talking about how they always get favored by the referees. It's just that Georgia, we play down to our opponents a lot, and then in the end we come out and we find ways to win because we're the better team the whole time, and people say that's the refs, the refs screwing the other team when it's just Georgia. Like, we have better coaching, we have better players, so in the end we figure out ways to win whenever you get put in difficult situations.
Yeah,
Michael?
and the original play, I mean, it got called incomplete on the field. And so if you want to overturn something, it has to be very clear evidence to be able to overturn it. And there just wasn't. Like, you really couldn't tell. I guess people were saying, oh, yeah, maybe he caught it. Grady showed me a picture right now. It's very clearly that ball is hitting the ground. But, I mean, you can't overturn a call if there's no clear evidence of it being a catch. That's why the call stayed.
It's very, very similar to what happened back in the 2018-2019 NFL season between the Chiefs and the Patriots. You remember the Julian Edelman catch?
Yes.
Everybody remembers the AFC Championship catch. It's very, very similar.
No, that was a clear catch. That was a clear catch.
It's a little similar.
That
You
was
can
a clear
see
catch.
you
You can
can
watch.
see in the video that this one hits the ground, but it's a very similar play. But Michael Miller, Georgia biases aside, catch. Oh, no catch.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, first of all, I'll just say this. Even if, like, you were to watch that back and think it was a catch, what they rolled on the field? Incomplete. So guess what? It's an incomplete pass. Regardless of what you think at home, they rolled it incomplete. You just got to go with it, all right? It happens. Calls like that in sports just happen, even if it was bad call. Now, this situation, I don't think it was bad call. It's very clear the ball hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's even if you're going to deny that picture that Grady just showed us, which is ridiculous because you can see it hit the grass. But if you're going to deny that, some people were trying to claim that, like, when the ball moved, that it hit his forearm, and that's why it moved. If it hit his forearm, it wouldn't have moved the way it did. Like, it completely changed direction when it hit the ground, which is only would have happened if it hit the ground, not his arm. So it's pretty clear that was not a catch.
Yep.
Speaking of absolutely absurd things relating to football, I want to talk about a guy who's been out of the game for a couple years. Tom Brady put out a statement there.
Let's talk about the college football playoffs real quick. It's Tom Brady's clone dog. As much as I would love to go around the table and talk about how Tom Brady cloned his dog.
You don't think it's clone?
He should clone another dog named Tom Brady and send him to the Atlanta Falcons. That's what we need to see right now. The real absolutely
Hey,
absurd
we
thing
remember
to do
the
with college
last
football-
time a
Can he clone
left-handed
himself?
Hold on. We remember a last time there was a dog situation with a left-handed quarterback named Mike.
That's
Atlanta.
I don't even know what you're
controversial.
talking about.
We remember
That's
that
out
whole
of pocket.
situation.
That's controversial. All right.
Grady.
CFP playoffs.
Notre Dame being in the college football playoff is gonna be the end of me, dude. You can, like, quality losses being your only qualifier for being in a playoff situation is just so ridiculously absurd to me. It's making me, like, genuinely frustrated. They're at 10, so they're over Virginia right now, and they're over the I believe Oklahoma Sooners, and it's just kind of frustrating me because they don't have any quality wins. Like, their schedule sucks, and they lost their 2 good games. I don't know what to say about that.
I want to talk about another team that doesn't have quality wins either. Ohio State. They're still number 1, and if that was the playoff picture at the end of the season, they'd play either Oregon or I'm trying to think of Texas Tech, I believe. They play one of those 2 teams in the second round. I think they'd lose either one of those games. I think there's definitely a possibility they could lose against Oregon or Texas Tech. I mean, Ohio State, we've seen what they've been this season. Yes, they're still the number 1 team. Yes, they're still maybe the best team in college football, you could argue. But I just don't think they've had clear enough wins, and I just don't think we've seen a great Ohio State team this year.
See, I think Ohio State should still be number 1
Yeah.
because I understand what you're saying. They don't have a whole lot of quality wins. I think the Texas one is looking better now because Texas is playing better football. But when Ohio State's played these lesser teams, they've done what you're supposed to do. They've absolutely dominated all these teams they've played. They've done a great. They just look dominant. There's no reason to me like. It's kind of like Georgia in 2023 to me. Like, Georgia kind of went through a schedule of not really playing a whole lot of great football teams up until the SEC championship game, but they did what they were supposed to do against those bad teams.
You were talking about bad teams, and a bad team that's been playing really awful this year, Penn State. And we talked about it on the playbook every Friday at noon. Make sure to go tune into that. Julian Sayin. A lot of people were saying Julian Sayin was overrated, but look at this. Julian Sayin, 20 for 23, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns. But that's not the most insane part. 2 wide receivers, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, had over 100 yards receiving and multiple touchdowns per both. So Ohio State can be a debatable number 1, but I think 100% they have leverage against Oregon and Texas Tech.
I think they're a solid 2. I just feel like Indiana is a much more like they've actually beat opponent. Like, they beat Oregon, which is a top playoff team right now. And to me, you have to give credit to don't drop Ohio State to 4 or something. Just put them at 2 and Indiana at 1. Those are the two. Those are the two right now presenting best 2 teams in the country, and I feel like that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, even at the end of the season, we always have that Ohio State-Michigan matchup, and I mean, Michigan has had a history of making the upset there, and Michigan's actually a solid team this year that I feel like could also make that upset again this year. I think that by the end of the season, we might not see Ohio State at that number 1 seed anymore.
We talk about upsets, JT, and there were a lot of upsets in this fantasy football league this week. Let's get into some fantasy football.
It's that time of the year again, and we're talking all things fantasy. Whether you're a 10-year vet or a first-year rookie, we've got you covered with some fantasy football.
Now, with fantasy football, personally, I did not win this week. I do not want to start with myself, but I want to start with somebody who did win this week. And, I've held him off from going first the past few weeks in fantasy football segment. But, JT Groves, tell me about your week in fantasy.
I'm not going to tell you too much. I mean, a very, very big win for me against Mr. Michael over here. Just a dominant performance out of all of my players. And he also had a lot of injuries he was dealing with. 145 points total in a week. I'll take that every single day. And I just got lucky with my matchup as well. He had Bucky Irving, A.J. Brown, Travis Hunter all out, did not play that week. And I'm really liking it. And this week, I'm really liking it because we got our own little Sports Out of Pocket playoffs here because we got the number 1 seed in this room, a.k.a. me, taking on Grady, who is currently the worst record in this room. And then we got Jackson and Michael taking on each other.
Are you talking about
this week?
You're the number 1 seed in this room, not in the league?
In this room,
Okay.
not in the league.
Okay.
I'm still number 2 in the league. Aiden is bound to lose 1 game, and I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to take over that number 1 seed at some point. Either way, I'm going to finish with a bye week, and I'll be happy with that.
The fact that I was going to say very quick, the fact that I had a lot of injuries ridden on my roster, and I was facing the number 1 team this week in fantasy versus Aiden Aby. I lost by 5 points. It is not my fault that DeKalin, Dakota, or whatever DK Met, whatever DK stands for, don't know. I'm gonna say it stands for don't know Metcalf. Didn't know how to catch a ball or didn't know how to secure a ball to save his life. 2.6 points versus the Indianapolis horses over there. So,
the Colts, by the way.
Yeah, the Colts. DK Metcalf absolutely sucked for me this week. But I'm facing a okay team in Drake May.
Drake May. That is Drake May.
So, Michael, I want to ask you about your week in fantasy.
I mean, look, we all knew it was going to happen. All right, we knew we were going to lose that game. All right, we're playing just an absolutely incredible team over here in JT. All right, and look, Drake May, we need him to carry the team. He had a little bit of a rough week, but look, a rough week for Drake May being 16 points. That just shows you how good Drake May is. All right, It was one of his worst weekends. So it's 16 points. This weekend against you, feel confident because it's Drake May and it's you.
My wide receivers right now are Cooper Kupp and DK Metcalf.
Cooper Kupp, that is now probably the 3rd string now that they have Rashid Shaheed.
Most likely. And, with DK Metcalf facing a top 6 defense in the Chargers when it comes to fantasy this week. And then I have to have Christian Watson at my flex, Jawan Johnson at my tight end. Some key pieces out for me this week. Jake Ferguson, who's been the number 1 fantasy tight end, now number 2 all season. And T. Higgins, who's made a resurgence since Joe Flacco coming into the picture for Cincinnati. So I'm optimistic about, because it's in any given Sunday type thing. But Grady, your thoughts on your team this week?
Can I chime in real quick?
Yes.
All right. So in honor of the trade deadline, the real trade deadline that we saw in the NFL this week, we decided, how about we just make at least 1 trade? But instead, we made 2 trades happen on the same day of the trade deadline. Me and Michael took part in one. I received Bucky Irving. I've been trying to get Bucky Irving off of him for 2 or 3 weeks now. I finally got Bucky Irving. Had to give up Bam Knight, Travion Henderson, and Aronde Gadsden, who I've been hyping up this entire season, or at least the past few weeks. He's been a beast. And then I've always trusted in Travion Henderson. He's finally getting that RB1 position since Ramondre's been hurt. But I'm getting Bucky Irving. I'm focusing on the playoffs. Bucky Irving is going to propel. He has a good playoff schedule. he should put up like 20 points a week when it comes to that playoff time. So I'm a fan of that trade for both of us. And then, Michael, I'll let you kind of explain the second trade that went down.
Yeah, so I made this trade. I needed running back depth really bad because really it was just Bucky Irving and then just absolutely nothing after that. So getting Trayon Henderson, I feel good about it. Him being, he's going to get a lot more carries now being RB1. I did turn around and make a trade with Joey. Got a trade in Bam Knight and Khalil Shakir for Alvin Kamara. And I know a lot of people are going to be like very skeptical of the Alvin Kamara situation because he has not been good this season. Has had some rough weeks in the past couple weeks here. But I still think that potential is there, though. It's Alvin Kamara. He's super talented. I just think that he still has that potential to really be the guy that he is, or at least close to it. Get me more points than Bam Knight each week. Just be a solid running back. And I have so many receivers that, like, it just felt like a situation where I could have that potential to get a better RB1, have that guy who has that potential to explode and be really good later in the year, and just kind of empty the bench out of receivers. Because I was kind of just like, because I'm playing Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown. Like, A.J. Brown and Jalen Waddle are staying in there. But then it's Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, and Khalil Shakir just kind of kept rotating, and now that takes out the decision making out of mine.
I had a lot of high hopes on the Saints team considering who they hired at the head coach position with Kellen Moore, the former Eagles offensive coordinator who was our OC for the Super Bowl team last season. But overall, I'm kind of trashing this Saints team. And speaking of trashing, we're going to get into Cash or Trash. But before we get into that, we're going to go show some love to the other shows. But when we come back, it is time for Cash or Trash. Stay tuned.
This is JT, and as Marv Levy once said,
where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
and we are Wolf Sports Network.
Step right up, folks. It's season 2 of the Playbook, where we're talking everything college basketball and baseball and...
Wait, Jackson. Dude, it's fall. And just like a playbook, I think we need to call an audible.
We are talking strictly college football all semester on season 2 of the Playbook, Fridays at noon, only on Wolf Sports Network.
It's time for season 2 of the Playbook, and we're talking all things college football, putting together a better sophomore season than Tim Tebow in 2007.
To the listeners and everybody at Wolf Nation, I promise you one thing. You will never see an on-air personality work as hard as I will for season 2 of the Playbook, and we will make this show better than any college football radio show will ever be for season 2 of the Playbook.
Listen as we fulfill this promise, live, every Friday at noon.
Listen up, because I got to tell you, Sports Pack is back and better than ever right here on Wolf Sports Network. Sports Pack is UWG's one-stop shop for all things sports. From hot takes to heated debates and even your best bets for the week, Sports Pack has you covered. So don't miss out on the fun. Catch us right here on Wolf Sports Network every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. See you there.
From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Wolf Sports Network brings you the action you crave. Sports Pack is your all-access pass to the Wolves athletics. From football, basketball, baseball, soccer, and volleyball, and more. If the Pack plays, we cover it. Passion, pride, Pack. Don't miss Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network.
Will our mouths write a check that we can't cash? Find out when we answer the question on everyone's mind. Cash or trash?
Now, the trade deadline ended yesterday. A lot of teams really bought in and cashed in on some players, in the whole realm of that scheme of things. And some teams did not. But one of the teams who truly did was the New York Jets, having one of the worst records in all the NFL. And JT, I know you're a Buffalo Bills fan, but still, in the state of New York, even though they play in New Jersey. What are your thoughts on the Jets and buying?
I'm glad you pointed out that Buffalo is the only New York team. I appreciate that, Jackson. Means a lot. So my cash or trash is that the New Jersey Jets won this trade deadline, even though they gave up Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams.
Michael?
I'm gonna cash it. They have they got 4 first-round picks for next year and 4 second-round picks.
Yep.
Like, that's absolutely insane. They did what you're supposed to do. They're a horrible football team. They sold everybody they had. And, like, obviously you're not going to win this year. You're probably not going to win for a little bit at this point because they really don't have any talent. They got to restart at quarterback because Justin Fields has not been the answer.
Yeah.
So you get yourself 4 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks. You can
Surely-
really rebuild.
Surely
these
one of
next
those
2
is a good
years.
quarterback, right?
Exactly. So I cashed that. I like that a lot.
They got A.D. Mitchell, Mozzie Smith, and they're building up for the future, which one thing the Jets didn't do during the 2010s and the early 2020s. I can't believe we're already halfway through the decade already. But, with Aaron Glenn being a first-year head coach, obviously he's still – I mean, you should be settled into the scheme of things as of right now, being a first-year head coach. And, Justin Fields isn't really playing up to standards, but we have a lot of top O-line prospects heading into this draft and the 27 draft as well, which the Jets have extremely struggled on throughout, the 2010s and really truly the past decade in general. So, honestly, I can cash this. There's only one other team I can see attesting for that, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. Personally for me,
I thought you were going to say the Eagles. The Eagles made some good moves. They didn't make any trades, but they did make some good moves.
No, I would say the Dallas Cowboys had a more successful trade deadline than the Philadelphia Eagles did, just because they addressed the situation with the loss of Micah Parsons and getting Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson, to kind of help booster that D-line and the other side of the trenches over there. Compared to what the Eagles did, I'm not going to say too much on that now because that's going to be later for Fire Me Up. But that's the only team I can see attesting for it.
I'd really like to agree with you about that Cowboys thing, but Jerry Jones is still alive. So, unfortunately, they cannot have been the most successful team. I would have to cash that take from JT there. I agree with Michael. You do what if you're a bad team, you do what a bad team does. You get rid of all your players, you start getting better. They should re-sign Mark Sanchez because I heard he's looking for a way to pay bail or his hospital bills. So I think that'd probably be a good start for them.
Yeah, I also don't agree with that Dallas Cowboys take because I feel like they gave up too much for Quinnen Williams. Now, he is a beast, but they gave up a second-round pick, a first-round pick, and a young D-tackle in Mozzie Smith. So, I mean, you're gonna let Micah Parsons go, and then you're going to get Quinnen Williams. And then you also had to give up a first-round pick and a second-round pick and one of your better, younger defensive players. I don't think they won this.
They cashed in a lot when it comes to the trade deadline, especially when it comes to, I'm talking about the New York Jets, for example. But I want to travel across the country to the West Coast in L.A., and obviously the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series in 7 games versus the Toronto Blue Jays, and Michael Miller has a big cash or trash relating to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Michael?
Yeah, I have not been a big fan of Dave Roberts for a very long time. I think he's a system manager. Okay, I think his talent is the reason why he wins. I think that if he were the manager of really any other team, to be completely honest with you, in the MLB, like if you're the manager of the Red Sox this year, the Red Sox would have won 65 games this year. I think he is dreadful at making bullpen decisions. I think every single postseason we look up, and I understand that in the postseason it's different. You have to have shorter plugs on your pitchers. I understand that. But I feel like every single time we get to the postseason with the Dodgers, you get like 3 games into the division series, and their pitching is completely out of whack. Their starters have been used. All of them have been used already for whatever reason. Their bullpen's completely depleted. He messes up their pitching every single postseason, but he gets bailed out by his talent.
I'm on the fence about this, and here's why. Because you saw during the 2010s that the Dodgers still had a stacked lineup with Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, Adrian Gonzalez in that pitching lineup with Josh Beckett, Clayton Kershaw, Zach Greinke during the 2010s when Don Mattingly was the manager over there having 100-plus win seasons like every other season during the 2010s. Did they win a World Series? Did Don Mattingly win a World Series as a manager over there?
He did not.
He did not. That's why I'm on the fence about this. I understand like the whole shift in culture with, paying over $1 billion just between Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani. I understand the whole like cap space, cap size thing when it comes to how detrimental like you could see a manager is in that position. I think I'm on the fence, but I'm gonna say trash, just because of the comparisons to Don Mattingly. But I want to ask these two over here. Would you say the same thing for Andy Reid? Because Andy Reid, with the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2 years they won back-to-back Super Bowls, would you say that Andy Reid is a system head coach in the NFL?
Absolutely not. That's an insane take.
And what makes this different?
Bill Belichick.
But what makes this different?
Bill Belichick sucks as a coach, by the way.
What makes this different, Michael? Between
Dave Roberts and Andy Reid?
Yeah.
Well, Andy Reid had success in Philadelphia before he went to Kansas City. That's why I wouldn't fully buy into that. I think you can make an argument for that though with Andy Reid, but I wouldn't say that's the same at all because Dave Roberts just like we haven't seen that. If Dave Roberts goes to a team like the Red Sox or somebody like that or the Yankees even like and goes and wins with like a better team, but not one with near the talent of the Dodgers, then sure, I'll back off of that. But I just don't like the decisions that he makes in the postseason. I think his talent just bails him out.
Yeah, re-pitching Yamamoto in Game 7 of the World Series has to be one of the most insane pitching decisions I've ever seen in my entire life. I know you started yesterday, buddy, but why don't you go out there and shove one more time? He says, yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about. Like he always gets his pitching staff in a bind like that.
I would just say
if that's just how he is as a coach, or is that Yamamoto being like, I can pitch another game, throw me out there. I want to win the World Series, and they put out their best players. If you're in Game 7 of the World Series, you're not gonna be like, okay, yeah, you're a little bit wore out a little bit. You know, we're gonna keep you over here. No, you're gonna put out your best players no matter what.
But that's like borderline unheard of. I don't know when like that has happened. How many pitches did he throw in Game 6?
Let me go back 1 second. 2021 NLCS, right? We're playing the Dodgers. Game 2, Max Scherzer started Game 5, that elimination game against the Giants. That made sense, right? You got to throw everybody. You got to survive. That's fine. Game 2 of the NLCS, you're going to throw him again. You're going to start Max Scherzer like 4 days, or no, it was 3 days. It was 3 days after he just made a start. When you're supposed to have 5 days of rest, like 4 days maybe because you're having 1 day of short rest is okay. 3 and he's that old. Like the decisions he makes, and then he threw Julio Urias later in that game, another starter. Like what are we doing in Game 2 of a series?
But it's working, is it not?
I think when it comes to
he threw 96 pitches in Game 6,
but they won the World Series. I mean, yes, I agree that like it's not good. It's not a good decision to not let players get the rest that they need because that can lead to injuries later down the line. And I mean, you mentioned Max Scherzer, like he's an older guy. You cannot just let him rest 3 days when the recommended is 5. But like if that's what gets you the wins and that's what gets you far in the playoffs, sometimes that's what you got to do.
If that throw in the Super Bowl when they didn't hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch to the 1 yard line and threw the ball for an interception to end the Super Bowl to the Patriots, if that pass would have been complete, does that retroactively make that a good call, or is it still bad coaching that was saved by execution? It's bad coaching that was saved by execution. Like that's what Michael's trying to say here. It's not that he's like making good decisions. It just happens that they have one of the most talented pitchers in the world that can go out on 96 pitches and pitch 2 more innings.
Let me piggyback off of that, and I want to target JT's favorite team, the New York Yankees. When it comes to this, during the 2010s, they had one of the best built-up rosters. I think could go toe-to-toe with this nowadays Dodgers team. You had Prime Robinson Cano. You still had Alex Rodriguez. You still had Mark Teixeira. And in that pitching realm, you had CC Sabathia and guys like them. I would say this 2010s New York Yankees team that didn't win a World Series and was in a really tough American League league conference or whatever you want to call it with the Boston Red Sox, the Texas Rangers, stuff like that. And Joe Girardi didn't win a World Series with that team. So you're saying like with talent, I would say toe-to-toe talent-wise, they didn't win a World Series at all. And
Joe Girardi is a terrible manager too. I mean, like we have examples of that too.
So you're saying Dave Roberts is a terrible man. You're saying he's a system manager.
I don't think he's I wouldn't say. I think terrible is a stretch. But
you
like,
can't say
he's not,
terrible if you win a World Series.
I wouldn't say terrible, but I don't think for example, I think Kevin Cash is a better manager than him. I'll say that. I think he's done a whole lot more.
So you're saying Kevin Cash is a better manager? Yeah, he pulled Blake Snell in the 6th inning of the 2020
He made one bad decision in his career. He's made one, and that was a big one. I'll grant you.
It was a big
bad
crucial
decision.
position.
But he's made one bad decision. I've seen Dave Roberts make bad decisions over and over and over and over again. If Dave Roberts managed the Detroit Tigers this year, they would not be in the postseason.
I just have to agree. Having your starters pitching games, like pitching relief of Game 7 of the World Series is such a ridiculous situation to have to be in. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even outside of, like, just the manager's fault, like, the Dodgers have the most money in the MLB, and if you don't win World Series consistently, there's a problem because you have the most money to spend on the most players, the best players. You should be going to these World Series like it's nothing.
You know what's crazy? Guess who had the second highest payroll? The New York Mets. They missed the playoffs. They spent a lot of money on Juan Soto in the offseason.
They barely missed the playoffs.
You know a lot about Juan Soto. But the thing is, with the Toronto Blue Jays, they're ranked 16th in payroll in the MLB. Yet they still made the World Series. I don't think payroll and that whole thing, like you can buy players, you can buy talent. I think hard work, in my opinion, hard work beats talent. personally, for me. And you saw Dodgers players like Andy Pages isn't a top tier outfielder, yet he had an all-star type season. Yoshinobu Yamamoto didn't have the greatest season last season, and he was kind of more of a mid tier pitcher heading into the season, but he still had an all-star season. So I don't really understand the kind of deposition we're talking about here.
Well, I think for Yoshinobu, that you could just say he had a rookie season. Obviously he's older than what a rookie would be, but that was his first season in the league last year. I think that's fine to have a rookie type year where Austin Riley was dreadful. He was good at the beginning, those first 2 months. Then he fell off a cliff, then he came back up.
NPB is very comparable to the MLB. The Nippon Professional Baseball League is very comparable to the MLB. You've seen guys like Shohei Ohtani come from there, Ichiro Suzuki succeed, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Hideki Matsui. Hideki Matsui, New York.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous to
still
imply
a
he doesn't have
different beast
talent
than
because
that,
he had a bad year. Talent or hard work beats talent is such a ridiculous saying because you have to have talent to be able to put in the hard work. I can work as hard as I want to, and I'm going to get yammed on by Victor Wembanyama every single day of the week. Hard work is important, but talent is the really important.
Yeah, honestly, my 100%. If you put me out, that's a perfect example. I'm giving 100%. If Wemby gives 1%, he is slamming it on my head, bro. He's yamming it. I'm not stopping that just because I'm working as hard as I can.
Shaq right now would beat me 10-0 in a pickup.
You know what?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, you Braves fans, specifically Michael Miller, you're only making this case because the Braves didn't make the playoffs and the Dodgers won the World Series.
Cardinals
you are mad. You're mad. I'm sorry.
The Cardinals.
I'm mad at my team.
suck.
I'm mad at the Dodgers for being
Yeah,
good.
but the Dodgers ended up soaring high in jets after the World Series. And speaking of soaring high and flying low, let's get into Flight Path.
Welcome aboard Sports Out of Pocket Airlines. This is your Captain Jackson Voles speaking, and we're about to talk the highs and the lows in the sports world. It's time for Flight Path.
JT, you were recently on a flight to New York for your sister's wedding, so I'm going to start with you.
I drove, but besides the fact, so I'm going to start.
Analogy.
I'm going to start this off.
That's not what an analogy is.
I want to talk about the high of this week being the Bears and the Bengals game this past weekend that we saw a 47 to 42.
It was 47-42, yes.
That was just an unreal game. But the low of it was Chase Brown in his post-game interview saying, we just got to finish the job, and just trashing his defense for not being able to stop anybody. Are you trashing the defense for not being able to stop the job? Or are you trashing the coaching staff and the GM and the entire organization for not spending that money to get good defensive players? What? I don't know why you're attacking the defense. It's not the defense's fault. They have all the talent they can. They're hardworking. But if you're giving 100%, like we just mentioned, if you're giving 100% effort, but you're going against a much more talented team, they don't have to do as much to put up numbers on you.
That's absolutely funny, and you speak of numbers and Chase Brown. Chase Brown had 11 carries for 37 yards. Buddy, I don't think you have any right to be talking against that, Chicago Bears run defense. You put up 37 yards all game, especially on how many possessions you got. I'm just saying, you don't have the right to be talking, Chase Brown. But honestly, I've loved Ben Johnson's playing calling all season. I think it was a great and phenomenal hire by the Chicago Bears because Caleb Williams has really utilized that 2 tight end set. He kind of carried that over from Detroit to Chicago, utilizing Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, and has made Rome Odunze, who was kind of under really seen last season, be like a top 10, playing like a top 10 wide receiver this season in the NFL. So honestly, I love the Chicago Bears, and I know Bill Schwartzky is a big Bears fan as well. So shout out to him. Now,
Caleb Williams was also a receiver in this game.
Yeah.
Catching a touchdown. So he almost had 2 touchdowns actually. So I'm really liking the play calling that they're doing over there in Chicago.
He had more touchdowns than Chase Brown.
That's what they should do with Justin Fields.
He had more receiving touchdowns than Chase Brown. So that's absolutely insane. Now, Grady, I want to throw it to you. A team, coach, game, player you are high or low on for Flight Path.
A player that I'm low on, I'm really low on this guy. Carson Beck. He's trying to go undrafted. his draft stock was looking low last year when he left Georgia. I think he's making a bid to go undrafted. He's trying to be the first player to go from first overall pick to undrafted. Like when you're playing like Madden and you start throwing all the mini games in the draft, so your draft stock goes down. That has to be what he's doing right now. He keeps losing games and he goes, "My tight end didn't run the right route. I just run the plays that my coaches call." Like, what is this guy talking about?
I don't know what Sid the Sloth is yapping about.
Have you guys seen that? You know what I'm talking about,
I know
right?
exactly
Like
what
he
you're talking
blamed
about.
he
blamed his tight end for not running the right route, not being in the right spot to where he was supposed to throw the ball.
And then this game he loses again. He goes, "I just run the plays the coaches call for me."
Yeah, is that what happened on all of your other picks too, Carson Beck?
That's what I say if I throw 3 interceptions
Grady,
too.
Carson Beck is still my Heisman favorite.
He might make a comeback. Never before seen Heisman comeback. If he throws for 500 yards in every game for the rest of the season, he might come in second.
Michael, thoughts on Carson Beck?
Look, I still like Carson. I'm grateful for what he did at Georgia. You know, he won a lot of games, and I thought last year a lot of Georgia fans were too hard on him. I still liked him all year last year. As a person off the field, it's a questionable character there for Carson Beck. But in terms of his on-the-field ability, I'm grateful for everything he did at Georgia. I love Gunnar Stockton, though, and I would not trade at all. I'm very happy with how things worked out.
You know, I used to agree with you, Michael. I really was like, I was a Carson Beck defender, but he comes out after these games, he just needs to shut up.
No,
like,
you're a Carson Beck offender.
I am now because he won't shut up. He keeps like putting up the worst stat lines I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna offend Carson Beck. He keeps putting up the worst stat lines I've ever seen in my entire life, and then he comes out there and blames it on other people. It's just ridiculous.
He hasn't been the same since the Cavender breakup, so you know we
I
talk
wouldn't
about
be
that.
either.
No, I understand it. Now, Michael Miller, I want to stick with you. Who is your team, coach, player, or game that you are high or low on for Flight Path?
I'm gonna go with Drake London. I think we already knew.
I thought you were gonna go with a different Drake.
I went Drake May last week. I can't go Drake May again. That'll be later.
There's no rules for that.
Yeah, there's no rules.
But he didn't play very well though.
Well,
like he won the game, but
yeah.
he didn't play to his elite Drake May level. You know?
So
Drake London did not win the game either.
Yeah,
he didn't win the game, but he played really well though. He deserved to win the game. Drake London was absolutely insane. Had a couple of big touchdowns. Just completely just body bagging Christian Gonzalez. By the way, I mean Christian Gonzalez had nothing. He couldn't do anything on Drake London. And then he's the only bright spot of this Falcons team at all. Him and Bijan.
And then Christian Gonzalez, I don't know if it was a fake injury or if he's seriously hurt. If he is, rest up. But like he got head topped by Drake London. Like it was hilarious. And like Christian Gonzalez isn't a short corner. He's one of the bigger corners in the league, going against one of the bigger receivers in the league. Like this is a great matchup that we saw, and Drake London just absolutely like killed Christian Gonzalez.
The London
Not
Tower
actually, but
did not fall down, but I want to stick with a player. You knew what I meant. I want to stick with the player in the NFC South that I'm really high on. And by the way, has one of the worst O-lines in front of him in all of the NFL. Rico Dowdle for the Carolina Panthers. Big reason why the Carolina Panthers are 5-4 as of right now during the NFL season. Right now, third in rushing yards with 735. 8th in carries, 131 carries, and tied for 13th right now with 4 touchdowns so far heading into the season. Rico Dowdle, a lot of people were kind of low on him after his underwhelming Cowboy season last season. When the Cowboys had a better O-line than the Panthers. But Rico Dowdle has really shown out and shined in this Carolina offense and helping that Carolina Panthers team to a winning record. That's absolutely insane to me. So shout out Rico Dowdle. But we are going to show some love.
Wait 1 second. Let me throw some out real quick. By the way, a game that I'm kind of like high on or low on maybe is the BYU Texas Tech game, because that game might genuinely decide which of one of those teams gets in the playoffs. If Texas Tech loses, they're going to get dropped out of the playoffs, and there's going to be like one non-ACC, like they will be the only Big 12 team in the playoff, which is going to be kind of ridiculous to see that.
Predictions to that really quick around the table.
I got BYU because Texas Tech already has a loss, and BYU's going to lock in.
Yeah, give me the Mormons in this one. I just think that BYU is absolutely going to I think they're going to win this one pretty convincingly. I think BYU is a much better team. I love Bear. I love that entire team.
Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah, Bachmeier is a beast, and I think that BYU is going to get it done.
I picked Texas Tech to win the Big 12 in the preseason, so I'm sticking with that and going with Texas Tech. Also, if Texas Tech shuts down the run at all for BYU, it's a blowout.
That is fair.
Uncle BD from the playbook really bought me into the BYU hype. So I'm sticking with the Mormons, and I love showing love to the BYU Cougars. And speaking of showing love, we're going to show some love to the other shows. But when we come back, we are going to dive in to this NFL trade deadline and what happened with our teams in the NFL season. So stay tuned.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York, and you're listening to my dudes from the Sports Out of Pocket on the Wolf Sports Network.
Sports Pack.
Sports Pack.
Sports Pack is back.
West Georgia's one-stop shop for all things sports. Whether it's UWG, NFL, NBA, or MLB, we've got you covered on all fronts right here on Sports Pack.
Mondays and Thursdays at 6, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Join Wolf Sports Network as we present our 4th tailgate of the season on October 25th.
Breaking down the game between the Central Arkansas Bears and your West Georgia Wolves.
And other matchups from across the college football world.
The action starts at noon, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Tailgate sponsored by Campus Services and Westwood Apartments. Campus Services, from dining, parking, IDs, or mail, visit the Momentum Center, Westwood's Apartments. 100% student living, flat rate utilities, no hidden fees. Wolf Sports Network is back and will feature 3 live shows this fall.
On Mondays and Thursdays at 6, Sports Pack has you covered with all breaking sports news at the University of West Georgia and the entire sports landscape.
On Wednesdays at 6, Sports Out of Pocket is bringing the energy with Zero Chill, talking all the hot button issues in professional sports.
And on Friday at noon, we get you ready for your college football weekend with the Playbook.
You won't want to miss out on all the action this semester at Wolf Sports Network.
Man, this beat brings back memories. Anyways, let me tell you all about this show on Wolf Sports Network. Get with the playbook. Get with the playbook. Get with the playbook. It's the playbook. Hear us talk about all college basketball, football, and baseball. Fridays at noon. The Playbook, only on Wolf Sports Network.
It's time to get heated with Fire Me Up.
As we stated before, the NFL trade deadline midseason ended yesterday, and I want to start with myself, the team that actually did something at the deadline compared to these 3 bozos over here around the table to me. The Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, we traded for the emergency room in Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips. But Jair Alexander, it kind of addresses our secondary issue. You know, we lost Darius Slay in the offseason. Really, really big bum and detrimental to our secondary. And Adoree Jackson and Jacorian Bennett haven't really done anything. Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, he's been all right. Cooper DeJean has played more as a safety, even though, you know, in the song it says Cooper DeJean is not a safety. But anyways, Jair Alexander, even though he's 32, actually, he's only like 27 years old. He's a lot younger than I thought he was. And, you know, I've spoken to a lot of Packers fans. Former Sports Out of Pocket member Christian Tyler, I know he said that he's very injury prone. So hopefully a change of scenery will keep him off the IR. And Jalen Phillips has been really, really solid throughout his career when he's on the field and when he's healthy. And it addresses our linebacker injury issue. So shout out Jalen Phillips. Shout out Howie Roseman. Shout out Jair Alexander. Big fan. And I want to start with another team that's in the Northeast.
I want to give you some credit for your Philadelphia Eagles. I like the moves that you guys made. Jair Alexander, 28 years old. You almost had it.
Close.
But some people might say he's washed. He's still a solid corner, and you guys got him for very cheap. Along with Jalen Phillips, who is a very young linebacker, who is one of those bright spots that was on the Miami defense, is now going to Philly, and it shores up one of those struggles that you guys have been having with linebackers. I like what the Eagles did. I think they now have one of the top defenses in the NFL. You could have argued it already, but I think now it's even better with what they've done. I give them credit. Now, the Buffalo Bills, I mean, what I saw in this Chiefs game, I was really happy to see Cole Bishop at safety. Finally started to step it up. We still need another safety, and I cannot believe that we did not trade for one. And we needed a receiver. We were in trade talks for other receivers. We watched Jacoby Myers go to the Jags. We watched Rashid Shaheed
Go to the Seahawks.
go to the Seahawks. Like, why did we not make a move? Like, it's unbelievable.
Do you
Like, there
wanna
was
know
so many guys. We were talking to Brian Thomas Jr. That was in trade talks. The Buffalo Bills were in trade talks with Brian Thomas Jr., which I would have loved, and we didn't do it.
Do you want to know what's absolutely insane? Both the Atlanta Falcons and the Buffalo Bills were also in trade talks with Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson. And
It's
Garrett
unbelievable.
Wilson stayed on the New York Jets. What was absolutely blasphemy is I felt bad for Breece Hall because Breece Hall thought he got traded from the New York Jets, and a lot of situations over there. He's like, I'm really bummed because those were my guys. Sauce Gardner, especially Sauce Gardner going to the Colts. I think the Jets won that one because, again, you said they got 2 first-rounders and
Just for
80 Mitchell out of it as well. And 80 Mitchell, maybe with the change of scenery, he's a young guy. He's like, 23, 24 years old. He's not that old. Maybe
He's
with
a
the
good
change-
route runner.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch his college highlights. You watch what he's been doing in Indianapolis. When he's on the field, he's one of the best route runners in the game. And if he can get that separation, if the Jets learn how to use him, I really like this. But like you mentioned, like Garrett Wilson, I know Breece Hall. I heard that they weren't wanting to ship him off for like a 3rd-round pick. I would have instantly given that up if I was any team that needed a running back, like the Chiefs. The Chiefs were in trade talks for Breece Hall. They offered a 4th-round pick. But since it wasn't a 3rd-round pick, they didn't do the deal. I think the Chiefs are stupid for not doing that. If that's true, I think that they should have given that 3rd-round pick. They'd be one of the best teams.
You know who else is stupid for not making moves at the deadline? Who needed it desperately? The Atlanta Falcons. And I heard that a member of Wolf Sports Network, no names to be named, was assisted by a good friend of ours in calling Terry Fontenot, and found his number through an email. But I want to start with Michael Miller and Grady Hamilton. You guys are big Falcons fans, did not do anything at the deadline. Michael, what do you got to say to that over there and the viewers and the listeners, hopefully listening on WolfSportsNetwork.com, about the Atlanta Falcons' moves at the trade deadline?
Yeah, first of all, everything you just said is not true at all. That doesn't do anything. I do want to talk to Terry Fontenot for a second. Terry, what are we doing? All right, not really. I don't really care that bad. It's not that deep. There was nothing we could really trade for, honestly, in my opinion. Like, there was no point in it. We're not that good of a team. I don't think we're going to win a whole lot, even if we did make a trade like that. And then there's nobody that we could have traded, really, either. Arnold Ebiketie, you could have tried to dump off to somebody just because he's not going to come back next year because of Jalen Walker and James Pierce. But, I really don't care that much we didn't make a move, and because we're such a weird team. We're not a real contender, in my opinion, but we're also not out of it either. It's just weird. I don't really blame Perry for not making a move.
Great.
I want to go back on what I said earlier.
Yeah.
I mentioned that the Jets were the winners, but the Falcons are truly the winners because they kept one specific player on their team. Who is it, Grady?
Billy Bowman.
Kyle Pitts.
They kept Kyle Pitts.
All right, look, I'm being honest. I'm coming out here right now. Falcons, what are we doing? It gets to a point where getting the whole team on a plane and crashing it so they all die and we can do an emergency redraft would be better than what we're doing with the team right now. This is ridiculous. Why am I watching on a Sunday? We're losing the Miami Dolphins! His brain barely functions at this point, and he's beating us. What are we I don't even know. I'm not a sports analyst here, guys. I'm not a boxer. I've never claimed to be a fighter. I don't know what to say anymore. It's ridiculous. Win some football games.
You talk about Miami Dolphins. The Falcons, crashed like the Titanic and blew up like the submarine. It's absolutely insane.
You know it's bad when the Panthers have a better record than the Falcons. You know you're doing something wrong. Like what are we doing?
It's beyond me. It's genuinely beyond me. I need a smarter mind than myself to help comprehend what we're doing out here. This is ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculousness. Now,
shut up!
All right, we have some time left, but let's get fired up heading into
Kirk
the
Cousins?
final.
Really? We're starting Kirk Cousins?
Let's get fired up about the West Georgia Wolves' final home game versus Utah Tech heading into, not this Saturday, next Saturday. Michael Miller. We have a winning record as our first winning record season for a Division I program for these West Georgia Wolves. And, by the way, West Georgia's men's and women's basketball just started, looking to emphasize on what we did our first season in D1. Michael Miller, what do you got to say about West Georgia football and West Georgia basketball, heading into these next couple weeks?
Yeah, for West Georgia basketball, come out this Friday, first home game. Me and Brandon, who's in the control room, and I will be on the call. We're gonna do a pregame show as well. JT will be there, so
Shout
come
out.
hang out,
Let's
come
go.
say hi. It's gonna be a fun time. And for West Georgia football, look, we have a winning record. We're gonna finish with a winning record. Wolves by 50.
Yeah,
JT?
I mean, looking at it, like our current record, we have 6 wins. It's going to be 7 after this week. Just pointing that out.
6-7.
And the 2 teams that we face these next 2 weeks, North Alabama and Utah Tech, have a combined record of 4-14, and we have more wins than both of those 2 combined. I think that we get both of these weeks done really easily. We finish 8-3, maybe not top of the conference, but second or third in the conference. Much better from what we saw last season out of these Wolves. And then, of course, the basketball season starting up. Like, let's go. I'm so excited.
Grady, Mac, Hamilton, what do you got to say about this?
So, Devin Widener egoed me on Instagram and didn't follow me back, so I'm a little bit mad at him. So to pay me back, I need him to win these last few games and lock in.
He followed me.
Yeah, he egoed me bad on Instagram and didn't follow me back. So I need him to lock in and win these games to pay me back. Or I am expecting a follow back on Instagram.
I'm super excited heading into the next couple weeks of West Georgia Wolves football and basketball. Make sure to stay tuned for that, for the play-by-play coverage and color commentary done by Mr. Brandon Dyer and Michael Miller this Friday and Saturday. For the women's game, me and Brandon Dyer also on the call and on the game. Super excited for that. But for Michael Miller, JT Groves, Grady Hamilton, and myself, we will see y'all next week.